Have you ever found yourself wondering why do bad things keep happening to me? Asking yourself such questions and thinking that maybe it's bad luck, it's an evil eye, it's a hex. If that's you, this is the right video for you. So first of all, hey friends, welcome back to my channel. I'm a seeker of truth and a lover of life, passionate about exploring spirituality, healing practices, and personal growth. Join me on this journey of self-discovery as I share stories, insights, and experiences to help you level up in your own life. In this video, we are going to talk about how to create good karma. So, as many of you know, karma is what you give is what you get. Basically, in simpler terms, that's what it means. Although there's a spiritual and deeper meaning to that. So, karma is the idea that your actions have consequences both in this life and potentially in the future ones. So, it means that every action has a consequence. So, after that, we have to acknowledge the Four Noble Truths. So, what this means is, it talks about the human existence, the human experience. So the first thing that we all know, it's part of human nature, it's part of human life is suffering. So we all experience it from the day we are born to the day we die. So it's just part of the human nature. And once we understand that we all suffer, we're able to find ways to overcome it. So we're able to find ways and maybe work on it and maybe try and understand life and maybe be very conscious of our lives. So the second one is the origin. So I'm sure all of you have watched some spiritual movie or just in movies where there's a spiritual person and they always keep talking about attachment. So I'm sure all of you, probably someone has watched Avatar and they keep talking about attachments, it being a constant state of, it keeps you in a state of suffering. So when you find ourselves craving, desiring, this leads to suffering. And when we can look at humanity since the beginning of time, humanity has been suffering, especially the human race, the planet. It's been all because of someone who wants something and they're going to go to any lengths to achieve it, any lengths to get it. So that also, it's not on the global scale, but that also we can see even in our personal lives. It's the fact that we crave, we desire, and we're so attached to other things. The minute that we understand that it's about the soul, it's not about all these external things, we are able to find happiness and peace. And then the end of suffering. So suffering happens, the ending of suffering happens when we discover what makes us suffer. And once we detach or we make an effort to detach from that, it becomes easier and we're on our path to end the suffering. And that is what I'm talking about in this video. That's what this video is about. So everything in this world is temporary. When we understand that everything is temporary, nothing is permanent, even the life we have is very temporary, then it becomes easy to find happiness, to find inner peace. And you when you understand that you don't need to depend on external things for happiness, everything changes. So on the path to end human suffering, this will be met with improving improving our behaviors, exercising mindfulness, just conscious living, practicing mental cultivation, and also acquiring knowledge and wisdom. Again, this is the path to ending human suffering. This is the way. But for that to happen, you have to have come in agreement with all your soul, all yourself, your soul, your spirit, your body, your mind, whatever it is, your emotions. Have to sit with yourself, look at your life, question your life, and then that's how you're able to come to terms on how to end this. But it's not a very obvious thing because if this information is not there, some people it's just obvious, but for some other people it's not, and that's why this video is here for you. So I'm gonna dive in to the reason why you're stuck in bad karma. So the first reason why you're stuck in bad karma is a lack of forgiveness. And this starts from the self. In my videos, I always talk about the self. It's always about the self, the self, the self. Not in the selfish way, but it just starts from you. For you to have compassion, for you to have love, for you to have whatever it is, you have to extend it. You have to start with yourself. So self-forgiveness. So this begins with how we feel about ourselves. So the reason why many people can't let go of karmic baggage is because we are unable to forgive ourselves for the things that we have done. So the feelings of guilt, blaming ourselves, which is very natural when we have crossed our own boundaries or we've done things that don't make us happy. but it's the fear and the belief systems which have been ingrained in us, which have programmed us to tell us that, we will be punished. And whenever we believe that, it makes us suffer. So it's not a good thing. So the minute that you understand that this is not true, the minute you understand that this is what stands your growth, you become unstoppable. Okay? So this kind of reasoning and thinking patterns is what keeps us in a state of fear and unwilling to gather knowledge, because you keep blaming yourself. It's just negative energy. And you'll not be able to get wisdom from other experiences. And this is usually a very repetitive pattern. And it creates self-sabotage and self-punishment and self-hate. So it's okay to make mistakes. It's how we learn, it's how we grow. As long as we take responsibility for our actions and work on not repeating them, then you need to treat yourself with the same kindness and compassion that you give to other people. So you need to self-forgive. You need to look at yourself, understand where these beliefs come from, understand where they stem from, and work on resolving those. When we hold on to negative karma, these are negative emotions, negative thoughts, negative feelings, it usually creates like an energy block, which prevents positive things from flowing into our lives. And just because you can say that you're gonna act like a good person and pretend that everything is okay, actually intention is one of the most important things. So you cannot fool anyone, you're not fooling anyone. So suppressing your emotions just to be the good person doesn't work. So you can't fool yourself. So all you need to do is to let it go and acknowledge the lessons you've learned from the experience. So it's more about accepting the events which happened and learning from them and letting it go. The third thing is past life contracts. So sometimes karma won't shift because of oaths, contracts, vows, promises, or commitments that happened maybe in a former life. Yeah. So that still holds true to this day. So you find that promises, maybe you decide you're going to be loyal to someone, eternity, it usually creates like an energetic cord which ends up following you in different lifetimes. So that usually ends up binding us to a soul that our learning already like finished. So because of that, maybe you finished your learning process, but because of those commitments and those um, promises and all that, it usually like binds us to them. So you find that again, that disrupts good karma, that disrupts good things from flowing into your life, happening into your life. So it's usually very important that when you learn something with a particular soul, you let it go. And the thing about sticking on to things that used to be, that's actually not healthy, because each one of us, life is short. We are here for a short time, yeah. Nothing is ever permanent. So like you have to learn to let go. If someone is not doing what they're supposed to do in your life, you have to let them go. That's why I say the attachments, they all create suffering. So it's again very painful, but once you learn that, once you acknowledge that, once you get through that, you're unlocking the door of blessings. And the fourth one is karmic lessons from our past lives. So we're usually here for a purpose, and normally we're always here to like learn something. So we are here to experience as much as we can and learn as much as we can, which helps us to grow and to develop onto who we want to be or who we are meant to be, and to be like a mature soul. Yeah. So that is usually interrupted when we refuse to acknowledge lessons, and it tends to repeat in our lives over and over again. So it can be with the same person or with people who are different but a similar situation. So until we finally get it, until we finally learn and acknowledge, especially acknowledge. So every time something happens, you have to just sit down and ask yourself, what am I learning from this? And say to yourself that I have learned this and this and this, so that it opens the doors for the next thing in your life. Yeah. So it's very important that we release these karmas. You have to keep asking yourself, what did I learn from this? What did I, so we don't, you know, karmic lessons. And this usually happens, especially in our day-to-day life. Yeah. I'm sure it's happening to everyone. You find that maybe you have like a sibling and you're close, and then maybe the relationship goes south, and then you end up meeting people, maybe friends, maybe colleagues, anywhere, and they end up doing the same thing that your sibling did to you, and you felt the same way because you felt the energy, right? It's because you have to learn that lesson. So it was supposed to stop at your brother. And that's why some people don't end up finding fulfillment in the next parts of their relationships with themselves and with others. So let's say, for example, someone is in a relationship and then they end up doing something, and instead of looking and changing, they replace the person. Okay, they replace the person, they leave that, they break up, and then they go on to dating other people. So they're going to experience the same thing because they have not changed, they haven't acknowledged the lesson, they haven't let it go, they haven't learned from the experience. So it's very important. And then the last one is the victim mentality, the victim mindset. So if you find yourself always being the victim, you really need to understand why is that, why. And I'm sure we have met old people, and this is the sad part, old people, maybe people in their 50s and their 60s, who have always been the victim. Do you know how that happens? It's because they were still the victim when they were young. They were the victim in teenagehood, in young adulthood, in their 30s, in their 40s, and they didn't learn. So this will be the thing until they acknowledge that they need help. So the victim mindset, the victim blaming, the victimizing of the self, that is, nobody has hurt you. No one is here to hurt you. Nobody can hurt you, okay? That's what you need to know. And every time you're in this victim mentality, you take away from your story, you take away your power, okay? You take away your strength, you just take away so much from yourself. People who always have this victim mentality is they don't usually know, because again, they have facts. And the reason I can relate to this is because I used to be that kind of a person a long, long time ago. So you have to shift. You have to, if you find yourself, everyone is against you, everything is against you, you have to sit back, reflect, and try and understand, why is this happening? Am I a victim? Am I making myself to be the victim? And also, you have to change that. Moving forward, these are the ways to remove negative karma and to attract good karma into your life. So the first step is to have the right view. So to have the right view is to know the truth, which you're learning from this video. Once you know the truth, everything becomes easier. The second thing you're supposed to do is to have the right intentions. Like I said, if you don't have the right intentions, you cannot fool anyone. It starts from the self, it starts from within. So you have to free your mind from evil. You cannot pretend to be a good person. Well, you don't have the right intentions. That's just going to backfire. The third one is to have the right speech. So having the right speech is, don't say anything negative to hurt others. Just eliminate all negativity. And this happens every day. When we decide that we want to live a conscious life, when we make the choice that we choose our destiny, we choose the lives we live, that's what happens. So again, it's going to be hard starting out, but as you move forward, it's going to get easier. So the fourth one is the right action. So work for the good of others, work for the good of humanity, work for the good of the self, work for the good of the planet, work for the good of everything. That will just create good, beautiful energy that will make itself back to you. And also the right livelihood. So you have to respect life. This is across everything, across all things, okay? So you have to have the right livelihood. Having the right livelihood means the right income, you're doing the right things, because I used to work in the healthcare industry, and the first time I started my job there, it was very hard for me because I came to realize it wasn't about helping people, rather it was about profit. And I quit my first job because I really wanted to leave healthcare. And once I learned that, it was heartbreaking for me. So again, when you're in a place where you're not hurting others, so in that situation, the healthcare, you're hurting people, you're just making people more sick rather than helping them. And these people are like desperate, they're not happy, they're not good, they're just suffering because again of their health, they're sick. And the people, just the healthcare industry wants to take more and more money, and they do this consciously. So you have to have the right livelihood. I was never at peace because I had already started on my spiritual journey, and it just, no matter what I did, I was never at peace. I wasn't happy. I was going to work every day knowing that we are scamming. Literally, it's a scam. It's a scam because you're selling people the dream of a good life, the gift of the it's a scam. It's a scam. So every day I used to wake up feeling guilty because we were scamming people. We were telling the story that we will heal them, we will help them, this is for their own benefit. Well, in fact, it wasn't. It was about taking their money, making them more sick. And that's why you will never see doctors, instead of giving you the right treatment, they give you medicine. They're just selling. It's a matter of money, it's about the pocket. And if you're found exposing these or like helping a patient, that means you can lose your job. So having the right livelihood also is very, 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 very important, because again, I'm attracting the same thing. So that's very important. And respecting life, respecting everyone, respecting animals, respecting everything. I think that's self-explanatory. And to have the right effort, the right effort is to resist evil. We're all aware when we do bad things, well, not everyone, but we need to have the consciousness to live a conscious life, to know when we do bad things, and that's going to help us. So again, resist evil, resist bad things, just resist the urge, and that's how you grow as a person in your spiritual life. The seventh thing is to having the right concentration. So that means you have to practice meditation, practice mindfulness. Meditation is important because it's going to enable you to be very mindful of everything that you do. You're going to have to reflect on your actions, and you're going to set the right intentions of how to live moving forward. And number eight, the right mindfulness. So that means you're going to have to learn how to control your thoughts, because even through our thoughts, we're still an energy. It's still something, and you know that energy cannot be destroyed. So I hope that you've learned from this. This is all from me this time. So if anyone has any questions, any suggestions, any experiences, you can write them down in the comment section. I welcome it. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you on the next one. Please do not forget to like, share, and subscribe.